The road between Rustenburg and Northam is one many motorists know well. A vital artery through the northwest, cutting past villages, mines, and communities where daily life unfolds quietly along the roadside. But what happened there has left the whole country in fear. Before we continue, please don't forget to hit the like button, subscribe, and watch till the end, because what happened to a community member who tried to join the CIT criminals in the process of stealing cash left everyone in fear. But on this stretch of the R510, near decoy village outside Mogwase, that sense of routine was shattered. What began as an ordinary cash-in-transit journey ended in violence, destruction, and the death of a community member, a man whose life was lost not as a target, but as a consequence of criminal force. Police have confirmed that an investigation is now underway following a cash-in-transit robbery and murder that unfolded in broad daylight, leaving behind unanswered questions and deep concern within the surrounding communities. According to information provided by authorities, the incident occurred when a cash-in-transit vehicle was traveling from Northam toward Rustenburg. Inside the armored van were security personnel carrying out what would have been a routine transfer of cash, a familiar operation on South Africa's roads. As the vehicle approached the R510 near decoy village, the crew noticed something unusual ahead. A vehicle was burning in the middle of the road. At first glance, the scene appeared consistent with a community protest, an occurrence not unfamiliar on rural and regional routes, where service delivery disputes and demonstrations often spill onto major roads. Faced with the obstruction, the security personnel made a decision that would place them directly in harm's way. They opted to take a detour through decoy village, attempting to avoid what they believed was a protest and continue safely toward their destination. But the burning vehicle was not part of a protest. It was part of a calculated ambush. As the cash-in-transit vehicle prepared to divert, a group of heavily armed suspects emerged and opened fire. Shots rang out suddenly and without warning. The driver of the cash-in-transit van was injured during the gunfire, forcing the vehicle to come under the control of the attackers. In the chaos that followed, one of the security officers was disarmed. His 9mm pistol and ammunition were taken by the suspects, further escalating the danger at the scene. What unfolded next was a level of violence that has become disturbingly familiar in cash-in-transit robberies across the country. Explosives were used to destroy the armored vehicle. The blast tore through the van, scattering debris across the roadway and sending shockwaves through the surrounding area. The sound would have carried far beyond the immediate scene, a violent announcement that a serious crime was underway. With the cash-in-transit van destroyed, the suspects began loading cash into their vehicles, working quickly and with apparent coordination. Investigators say the suspects arrived and operated using two vehicles, a Toyota GD6 and a Toyota Fortuner. It was during this moment, amid the confusion, the smoke, and the urgency, that a tragic and fatal encounter occurred. An unknown male, believed to be a community member, approached the scene. Authorities say the man attempted to join the robbers, allegedly to pick up money from the site. But instead of escaping with cash, he was shot dead by one of the suspects. His life ended there, on the roadside, caught between criminal violence and the lure of opportunity in a moment of lawlessness. Police have not released the identity of the deceased, and it remains unclear why he approached the scene or what he may have believed was possible in that moment. What is clear is that he was not part of the armed group that planned and executed the heist, and that his decision placed him directly in the path of men already prepared to use lethal force. By the time police arrived, the suspects had fled. They disappeared with stolen cash, leaving behind a destroyed vehicle, an injured security driver, and the body of a man whose family would soon receive devastating news. No arrests have been made. Investigations into the incident are ongoing. For residents of decoy village and nearby areas, the impact has been immediate and deeply unsettling. This was not an isolated crime in a distant location. It unfolded on a road used daily by workers, families, and school transport. It unfolded close to homes, within reach of ordinary people who had no warning that a military-style robbery was about to erupt in their community. Cash-in-transit robberies have increasingly followed a similar pattern across South Africa. Carefully staged road blockages, the use of explosives, high-powered firearms, and well-timed getaways. But each incident carries its own human cost. In this case, that cost includes a life lost, not because of a targeted attack, but because violence had overtaken public space. The injured security driver survived, but the trauma of the ambush and the knowledge of how close the situation came to becoming even more deadly will remain long after the road has reopened and debris has been cleared. For law enforcement, the investigation now involves piecing together a complex chain of events. Ballistics, explosives residue, vehicle movements, and witness accounts will all form part of the inquiry. The stolen firearm taken from the security officer adds another layer of urgency, as it represents a weapon now potentially circulating in criminal hands. Police have not indicated whether the suspects are linked to other cash-in-transit robberies, but the tactics used align with methods seen in organized, well-resourced criminal networks. The choice of location, the use of decoy tactics, and the deployment of explosives suggest planning rather than spontaneity. At the same time, the death of the community member introduces difficult questions, not of blame, but of circumstance. What compels an unarmed individual to approach an active crime scene involving explosives and gunfire? Was it desperation, misunderstanding, or the chaos of a moment where law and order had temporarily collapsed? These are questions investigators may never fully answer. What remains undeniable is the risk posed to civilians when heavily armed criminals operate on public roads. The R510 is not a battlefield, yet it became one. And for communities living alongside such routes, the fear is that tomorrow it could happen again, without warning, without protection, and with devastating consequences. Police have urged anyone with information that could assist the investigation to come forward. As the search for the suspects continues, authorities are working to reconstruct the events minute by minute, hoping that evidence or eyewitness testimony will lead to arrests. For now, the road remains open. Traffic moves again between Rustenburg and Northam. But for the family of the man who was shot dead, and for those who witnessed or heard the violence unfold, the sense of normality has been permanently altered. This was not just a robbery. It was a reminder of how quickly organized crime can invade ordinary spaces, and how lives can be lost in moments that were never meant to be fatal. The investigation continues,